All righty. I want to say what's up to everybody. This is Bishop Chris Johnson, or the Greatness Coach, here bringing you another episode of the Pastor Plus podcast. And I'm sitting here today with a very special guest of mine, my good friend, Pastor. Listen, did you hear what I said? I said pastor.
Wow.
Is
that prophetic?
I don't know. It might be. Jason Elkins, everybody. Jason, man, thank you so much for being with us today.
Glad to be here. Good to be in your presence always.
Well, you know, this is a long time coming.
Yeah.
Our first conversation was a sit down like this. I believe it was. So let's back up all the way. Just kind of tell everybody how we first met and, you know, how that whole thing popped off.
I was running a workshop for the Tennessee Small Business Development Center, and you showed up in Gallatin. And if I remember right, there was just a handful of people in that group. And when you're speaking and leading a group, when you see a class that size, it can hit your ego a little bit. but every once in a while, you connect with somebody, and that was I felt like you were supposed to be there, and I was supposed to be there that day. It was we definitely had a connection then, and you actually invited me out to the church. I remember that. Yeah. And I remember walking in there, and just like coming in here, it's like everything you do, it's excellence. There's you care about things being done well and done right, and that's something I've really appreciated about you. And I thought it was fascinating when the pandemic hit. You've been through the equipment and streaming and doing things, shot well, and you know, you cared about audio and quality and all that.
Yeah.
And you seemed really prepared. A lot of the pastors that had contacted me around that time were not anywhere near where you were. So, but yeah, back to Gallatin, middle of nowhere for a discussion about just some digital marketing and social media stuff.
Yeah.
You could expand that. That's right.
You know, that was very interesting. That was a time where, speaking of which, you said we were kind of prepared. We took all the chairs out of the sanctuary and just turned it into a studio. It's like, let's just take advantage of it,
go.
You know? And one of the things that I remember about you was you had this concept called 100 cups of coffee.
Yeah.
And so unpack that a little bit. What's 100 cups?
So the concept is really, it's a relationship development concept. And we miss in an age where we do so much work digitally and so much work through social media, so much of our connection, we forget about the relationship part. We forget about the relationship development part and how key that is. And for me, it was a business lesson.
Yeah.
I had been involved in sales and marketing of some kind for decades, and I found myself 11 years ago walking into an office and having my bosses at the time. If you walk into the room and your boss's lips are quivering a little, it might not be a good day for you. And I was working for 800 Pound Gorilla website company at the time. They did all the local website projects for the city we were in, and they were going through some changes and made some decisions. And a couple of those were kind of outsourcing their sales, and my job at that time was eliminated, along with a designer, and a couple of people had to go.
Wow.
So, and Pastor Chris, I'd made a bunch of money for companies for years, and I thought maybe I could do some of this for myself.
Yeah.
And not have to worry about getting fired. So the one concept I had at that time is I have a limited window, about 90 days, I figured. So I figured I would have 100 cups of coffee with 100 business people in 100 days.
Wow.
And see if I had enough skill and enough knowledge to actually not have to go back to work. Maybe I could just consult. And after about 30 cups of coffee, I actually got a few checks coming in.
Yeah.
Got some contracts for some regular work, and I transitioned out of selling websites to more digital marketing consulting. So we talk social media, which is coming up at the time. Again, a little over a decade ago, talk blogging and kind of how you could get your message out to the world without that kind of main website thing that you only did maybe once every 5 years.
Yeah.
And for me as a relationship guy, I hated selling a website to somebody and then they just disappear, you know? And that was really just the start of what your marketing should be, or how you get your messaging out.
Wow.
Should be.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the concept of 100 cups. And it didn't take too long before I realized that I really had something as far as an idea. I had written one silly article about this idea and posted it on a website that looked terrible that I had built myself. But the local newspaper saw it and called me and said, we'd like to feature you as an Entrepreneur of the Week in the local newspaper, which was hilarious. I didn't have any clients at that time. So I had a friend come and get some pictures of me at a coffee shop and told him what I planned on doing. And they published that article. And shortly after that, I got a call from an old client that had seen that and wanted to do some business with me. And there were, these stories kept happening over and over. What I would do, Pastor Chris, is I would get myself with that person, take a picture of them, and post it to my social media.
Wow.
And then people would kind of chime in or comment, and they would be the cup of the day. And so it was not only a way to keep me accountable to make sure that I was pushing things forward with my business, but it was also a way to just highlight and promote other people, which I love to do. So it's kind of this built-in content marketing strategy in addition to helping me grow my business.
That's awesome. So, so conversations would create this level of content for you, right? Just by having conversations with people who are adding value to you and your business.
That's it.
Man, this is awesome.
That's it.
Now, this whole concept, and this is interesting because we live in a time now. Pastors have learned should have learned over the past year that there's something to marketing, digital marketing especially. But then also this idea of, like you said, building a brand, getting your message out, and we have to be creative doing that. How can what you do certainly help a pastor or minister or someone who's trying to get that message out? What are some similarities, and what are some things that we can do?
Well, I'll go a little bit deeper on specifically when you meet somebody.
Gotcha.
I'll give you some of the foundational elements of that. Some things that I do every time I talk to somebody. The first thing I want to do is make sure that they understand, I know that their time is important. That's the one asset that we'll never get back. Yeah. Right? It's everything. Yeah. So if they're going to spend time with me, I'm going to make sure that they feel important when they're spending time with me. Shut my phone off, pay real close attention to what they're saying. And even pastors who love to talk, I know a few of y'all, even pastors who love to talk, there's a ratio that you really should go after if you're trying to learn about people, and that is listen 70% of the time, talk 30% of the time.
Oh, my.
So ask lots of questions, give people the space to answer and respond. And the reason we do that, there's a statistic that says that after we leave that meeting, if you have listened more, even if, so you're not the talker, right? You've given the talking role to the other person. But when you leave the meeting, they feel like they know you better.
Wow.
People love talking about themselves.
Wow.
So there's this kind of odd psychological thing that happens. Yeah. That says, I know you better because you let me talk, not you gave me all the information about you. Wow. So listening is such a critical part of business growth, church growth. So that was something that I noticed changed kind of the way that I viewed these meetings. I wanted to make sure that I listened a lot. I also, every time I meet somebody, I want to lead with my best. Yeah. So if you and I are talking and I just learn about your church, and I might say, hey, you shouldn't be operating off of a content calendar. So every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you know it's going to go up prior to. So you're not just looking at your social media or your marketing with a question mark every day. Let's plan that out. Yeah. And let's track trends and see what resonates with our audience and do more of that. Wow. These kind of principles, I would want to lead with my best. So just like if you meet somebody, maybe they're hurting, and you're going to listen and find out what those pain points are. Yeah. You're going to give them a few tips on that. You're not going to say, hey, if you come Sunday. Right. Or if you join my program, then I'll give you the information. We've been taught, especially as coaches and leaders, such as yourself, even with this program, it's not like you're not going to give somebody some information that might help them, even if they don't sign up.
Right. Right.
People remember those kindness pieces too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's
awesome.
That's another kind of a foundational thing that I try to do for every one of these discussions I'm having.
Well, you just dropped some great information. You start talking about planning those content calendars, getting that out of the way. This is that a marketing strategy as far as planning when things are posted, when content goes out? Now, I know there's a pastor who may be listening and saying, "What can I plan?"
Sure.
What as a pastor, besides the church bulletin,
right?
What can I plan?
Well, let's give a macro version of that, and then I'll give you a micro version of that.
Okay.
Macro version, if you think about a company like Coca-Cola, they know what they're doing at Christmas time in 2022.
Yeah.
Right? They already have that planned out.
Yeah.
Right? They already have the campaign put together. You know it's going to be bears and snow and lots of red and black and white. Right? We know that's coming, but somebody has put that together and has made a plan for that. As kind of the micro on what we're doing every day during the week. You could do something simple like maybe it's Psalms Monday. We're just gonna talk and maybe unpack some of that.
Yeah. Maybe
Tuesday we're going to talk about caring, how we can care for our community better.
Wow.
Wednesday may be walk through Wednesday. We're going to take you kind of a peek behind the scenes. What's happening within the church.
That's awesome.
Thursday you kind of go through it like that. So the reason we do this is really not. It's not to pat ourselves on the back or to show that. It's basically we have to. If we want to have social media work for us at all, from a marketing standpoint, we have to feed it. You have to plan it. You have to post often. So this is a way that we can kind of put the posting so we already know, oh, well, I've got this thing coming up Wednesday. I know that's going to be a walkthrough thing. Or, oh, I was doing some morning reading. And, oh, this song would be great for my Monday thing. So we're already always kind of thinking in these silos of what to post during the week.
I love it.
It just kind of helps us put some arms around it, and especially if you're offloading some of this to some staff members, they need to be led too. Hey, folks, this is what we need Monday, Tuesday. They want to hear from you as a leader.
Yeah.
Support them and tell them this is what you expect.
Yeah.
So kind of having that big view of. We need a lot of posts to actually make a difference and make an impact. And especially today, with all of the noise that we have.
My God.
Right? To be heard, we have to be posting often, posting a lot.
Yeah.
So we can't just do that just kind of willy-nilly, just kind of whatever feels right.
Wow.
You want to have that in sectors. And then over time, you can look back and go, oh, you know what? People love songs. Maybe I need to do a whole series on that. Or, that didn't really resonate, but man, they really loved it when we showed, we had a prayer deep dive into what prayer can do, and maybe that's every Thursday we talk about that. So you can kind of give yourself some tools over time to see what's resonating with your audience.
What I've found is I could post 15 posts about things that are happening at the church or something that's happening with me. And then I'll post one video of my daughter acting silly or my kids, and it just goes crazy. Yeah. So what is that? Yeah. Why is it that those posts seem to perform, better than, some of the content posts?
Sure. Social media at its core is social. If you think about the things that you've shared, they tend to be a story or something that made an impact to you. How do you get emotion out of people enough to respond? And even clicking a like is a response, right? So we have to somehow trigger an emotion, and people resonate with people. They're going to want to see your kids. They're going to want to see, your son killing it on the field right now. Like, they want to see some of that. That's and we're not in a box as pastors, as leaders either.
Yeah,
like you have other interests than just what the Word of God is doing right this second.
Wow.
Right? You're a good father. You can talk about that. You understand technology more than most of the pastors that I interact with. You could have a discussion about that. Tech Tuesday could be a thing where you're sharing some of this with the church. But back to your question, the reason that resonates with people is if it's not a story, it's not really social.
Ah, that makes sense.
Right? So
that makes sense.
So we share things that impact us on an emotional level.
Yeah.
And that's what you're doing by, you have to obviously have, church service times.
Right.
Pick up locations and, hey, we're supporting this cause or whatever this thing is. But you certainly need to mix that with things that people can really resonate with on a deep level.
Which is a great lead in to, you said there are some other things. Your life, Pastor, is not just about what you do in the pulpit, what you do at church, but people are definitely drawn to, and you add value to this world with more than just your pastoral skill set. And so for 2 days coming up here in June, we're bringing a group of pastors and ministry leaders in, and we're doing a Pastor Plus camp, and we're talking to them about how to think about putting more content out there and how to think about using these transferable skills. And so anybody who's watching, go to my website at cajohnson.org to get more information. And it seems like what we're gearing up for is the next Pastor Plus camp, so that Jason can come be one of our guest speakers. That's what it.
I like that. I like the way that sounds a lot. Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Let's do one in July.
We do one. We have one coming up here in June, and I'm thinking about doing one before the year is out. So we're definitely going to do.
I'm there. You tell me when.
Yeah, we're definitely going to do something. Yeah. I like to have my guests kind of give us the last word, whatever it is you want to leave any of our listeners with. But before we do that, tell everybody how we can get in contact with you. What do you have going on, and what can we connect with?
Sure. My website is 100cups, 100cups.coffee. And I had to have that domain. I had to have that top level domain, coffee, when the coffee came out. So 100cups.coffee, and you can get me at jason@100cups.coffee if you want to send me an email. So I run a coaching group for marketing. So some people don't want done for you. They just need help, somebody to come alongside them. So I do that. And then I own a content company as well called Elk Park Media. And we do projects. So there are some ministries that we're supporting right now where we're doing ongoing content for them.
Nice.
So these things where you're maybe having trouble figuring out what to do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, my company will help you do that and then do that alongside with you.
Nice.
But one thing that I'm super excited about right now is this concept for 100 Cups. I actually unpacked each step of this, and I'm training people how to do this as well, to build their networks and have a good content strategy along with that. Wow. And help them build their businesses up. And I'm in my second year of teaching that. And that's called 100 Cups Academy. You'll find out more about that on my website if you want to go there.
I love it. I love it. If there's any pastor or ministry leader who's listening right now, go check Jason out. And I know you may be overwhelming for you, Pastor. So send your media director.
Sure.
You'll work with the media director 100%. As well. Most definitely. So
send your key volunteer.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. This is awesome. Well, if you can give us our last word, maybe there's a pastor, a ministry leader, or an influencer who just needs a little extra push. What would you say to him?
I have, let me just finish this up with a quick story.
Gotcha.
A friend of mine was speaking at a conference and felt like he did a good job, got a standing ovation. Doesn't always happen, but he felt like he killed it. Woman waited for a while to come up and talk to him. Showed up after waited in line, showed up after everybody left and said, "Hey, I loved your content." He's like, "Oh, thanks." She said, "But I can't stand your voice." The reason I'm pointing this out is we all have an audience out there that are going to connect with us personally. So we don't have to think about having all the most unique content or, gosh, somebody already said that, I don't want to say that. We need to be consistent, and we need to be in our own voice, and we need to do that for a long time. And your audience will come once you do that.
Wow. Everybody, Jason Elkins, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.